At 05:00 a.m. on September 6, 2025, 10 Ukrainian drones were 57 seconds from striking the largest nuclear power plant in Europe. It was a target so sensitive, so dangerously off-limits, that the Russians guarding it had grown complacent, believing no one would ever dare. They were about to be proven catastrophically wrong. This wasn't a salvo of cruise missiles. It was a swarm of KH-7 drones, each weighing just 1.5 lb and costing a laughably low $400. Through the lead drone's camera, the objective is already in view: the ZNPP's Training and Simulation Center. A small icon on the operator's screen blinked with clinical precision distance to active reactor core 984 FT. And let's be crystal clear about the target. Ukraine isn't trying to start a meltdown. This is infinitely smarter. They're aiming for the plant's brain. The $50 million simulation center where Russian engineers learn how not to cause a second Chernobyl. Destroying it cripples Russia's ability to operate their biggest strategic asset. It's a high-risk, high-reward move. If you were the mission planner, would you have approved this target, or would you have considered it too dangerous? 9 miles away in a secret bunker near Orikhiv, a Ukrainian technician guides the swarm with a beat-up laptop. His signal, a 5.88 GHz frequency hopping broadcast, is a ghost in the machine, changing 1,000 times a second to evade Russia's electronic warfare. On his tactical map, the ZNPP is a fortress. The massive red bubble of a Krasukha-4 system blankets 186 miles around him. The S-400's gravestone radar is actively sweeping the sky. On paper, this place is impenetrable. This 3-month symphony of violence planned by the 47th Drone Brigade began not in the sky, but in the murky depths of the Dnipro River. Its purpose was to solve one simple, deadly problem. How do you get 10 tiny drones past a billion-dollar fortress? The answer: you don't fly over the wall, you swim under it. The operation began at 04:30 a.m. Under the cover of a thick morning fog, the Marichka AUV slipped silently from a civilian fishing boat and vanished beneath the surface. For the next 30 minutes, it was a crocodile in a muddy river at midnight, completely invisible. At 04:55 a.m., the loud part of the plan kicked off. 2 modified Neptune missiles roared to life near Zaporizhzhia. Their target wasn't the plant, but a BM-30 Smerch multiple rocket launcher positioned nearby. To a civilian, that's just a big truck with rockets. To these drones, it's a giant shotgun that can fill the air with shrapnel, shredding the entire swarm. So before the main event even started, Ukraine took that shotgun off the table, while the Russian ground forces were scrambling to figure out why their rocket launcher had just vanished. The second part of the plan unfolded in Russian-occupied Enerodar, of 5-men Ukrainian Special Operations Team ghosts who had been living among the enemy for weeks made their move. Their job was to deal with the crude but effective anti-drone nets ringing the facility. Using a handheld jammer, they created a small silent gap. They were the lockpickers in a high-tech bank heist. Only then did the star of the show make its entrance. At 05:00 a.m., the Marichka AUV surfaced silently in a pre-scouted patch of reeds just 3.1 miles from the plant. A waterproof hatch hissed open, and 10 KH-7 drones, each armed with a 3.3 lb-shaped charge warhead, rose into the air. 8 of them immediately dropped to 130 FT, disappearing into the ground clutter. But 2 of them, loaded with dummy warheads, did the exact opposite. They climbed to 500 FT, making themselves the most obvious targets in the sky. It's a classic boxer feint. Make your opponent watch the jab so they never see the right hook coming. The trap was set. The outer layer is the S-400 Triumph, a $200 million system that can track 300 targets. Its operator, seeing 2 blips appear on his screen, did his job perfectly. But here's its dirty little secret. It was designed to shoot down bombers. Asking it to target a 1.5 lb drone is like using a sledgehammer to crack a walnut. It's overkill for the job. The next layer is pure electronic brute force, the Krasukha-4. This truck-mounted system blankets 186 miles in every direction, with jamming noise. But the KHS-7 drones are using a frequency hopping signal that changes 1,000 times every second. Then you have the eyes in the sky, the Orland 10 surveillance drones circling endlessly. Their infrared cameras are great at spotting tanks, but at 4:30 a.m. they saw nothing but cold river water, completely missing the silent passage of the Marichka below. At 05:01, as the S-400 operator is tracking the two decoy drones, the real reason this entire attack works is humming away inside the 7 remaining attackers. The heart of the KHS-7 is a 99er NVIDIA Jetson Nano AI chip, the kind of thing you'd find in a high school robotics project. And it gives the drone two critical advantages. First, it runs the frequency hopping algorithm. While the Krasukha-4 is flooding the area with a massive brute force wall of jamming noise, the Jetson Nano is telling the drone, radio, to jump to a new frequency 1,000 times every second. Second, it provides optical navigation. The Krasukha has successfully jammed all GPS signals, but the drone doesn't care. Its camera is constantly comparing the terrain below to a satellite map, stored in its tiny memory. It's not listening for directions from space. It's reading the road signs. It has eyes. You can jam a signal, but you can't jam the landscape. This brain is packed into a body designed for pure efficiency. The frame is a feather-like carbon fiber construction, bringing the drone's total weight without the warhead to just over 1.5 pounds. This means the high-performance LiPo battery isn't wasted on lifting a heavy airframe. It's dedicated to powering that AI chip and extending the drone's range. It's the reason the Marichka AUV could deploy them from 3 meters out a distance these tiny custom drones could easily cover. At Air 502, the S-400 operator Sergei does his job. 2 multi-million-dollar missiles leap from their tubes, screaming towards the 2 decoy drones. For the Ukrainian operator in Ori, this is a success. But here's where the plan almost went sideways. The Krasukha is a beast, and its raw power begins to interfere with the decoy drones' video feeds, causing them to flicker and distort. And the Russians aren't just relying on one system. An Orland 10 drone circling high above confirms the contacts with its own camera. The S-400 operator is ordered to lower his radar search pattern to scan the very altitude where the real attack swarm is hiding. On the operator's screen in Orytiv, this is the moment his heart rate spikes. The S-400 search beam, a digital scythe, begins to sweep dangerously close to his hidden swarm. But this is the moment the 5-man ghost team in Enerhodar plays their ace. At 05:02 and 40 seconds, as the Russian missiles are closing in, one of them flips a switch on a nondescript black box. It's a short-range counter-EW device. It doesn't try to block the Krasukha's signal. It mimics and corrupts it, creating a small localized bubble of pure electronic gibberish. It's like trying to have a serious conversation next to a guy who is screaming nonsense words back at you. You just give up. The Russian radar operator, already focused on the decoys, is now flying half-blind. A few seconds later, his missiles find their targets. The 2 decoy drones vaporize on the Russian command net. It's a victory. 2 kills confirmed. Sergei reports he just spent millions to kill 2 $800 decoys and has no idea the 7 real assassins just slipped past the security desk and are now heading for the CEO's office. At 05:03, the 7 remaining KHS-7 drones are inside the final perimeter, and Russian Commander Sergei's blood turns to ice. He realizes the drone's flight path is taking them directly between his defensive positions and the massive silhouettes of the reactor containment buildings. This isn't a simple attack anymore. It's a hostage situation where the hostage is a potential nuclear disaster. Engage firing solutions must be clear of all sensitive structures. He screams into his headset, his voice tight with a new kind of terror. He can't just fill the sky with steam. Every stray round could start an international incident. The Panzer turrets traverse frantically their computers, struggling to find a clean firing angle. A Mi-28 Havoc gunship pilot, his own hand, sweating carefully, angles his gun run away from the plant before firing. This hesitation, this split second of forced caution, is the only window the Ukrainians need, but the Russians are professionals. A Panzer locks on and fires, downing a drone in a burst of shrapnel. The Mi-28 adjusts its angle and destroys another with its cannon. A second Panzer, firing in a controlled burst, shreds two more. 4 more drones gone in seconds. The Ukrainian operator in Orav watches in horror as his attack swarm is methodically dismantled. 4, 5, then 6 of his drones blinked to static. The Russian defense, though constrained, is brutally effective.